Everyone, welcome to Lauren's Scrap Plot and my weekly edition of Show Me How It's Done. My name is Lauren Urbonis and I'm an independent stamp pickup demonstrator here in Edmonton, Alberta. So I'm delighted to be here live with you today. I'm sorry we're a couple minutes late, but hopefully you're still able to tune in, and if you can, go ahead, say hi. And if you're watching the replay, then that is great. This is a show that you can watch anytime. And if you're new to my channel, make sure to check out my past videos. And you can see over 140 tutorials now that you can go and check out using Stampin' Up! Products. And before I go on, make sure to click that like and subscribe button, because then I know what you guys are interested in and what I can do more of for you. So I have a really fun card for you today. It is using some products out of our holiday mini catalog. So that is this little guy here. And I'm showing it to you because today is November 21st, for those of you who are watching this, in the near future. This is the day that Stampin' Up! Announced their last chance products for this catalog. So technically items in here are available until January 4th, but from this date onward, they will be available only while supplies last. So I'm very excited to say that the Merriest Trees bundle, which we're using on our project today for our Christmas tree, that is carrying on. So you can purchase it still, of course, so you get that 10% discount because you're buying a stamp and a die together. But if you don't now, it will be available either in our next annual catalog or next year's holiday catalog. I'm not sure which, but at some point you'll be able to still get it. But like most of the other paper that we often have, our Snowflake Magic Designer Series paper is going to be retiring. So just so you guys know, I did post a little video this morning, or actually last night, I think, and I walked you through the catalog. I went through everything that was going to be retiring, staying, and the items that are on sale. So if you go to my Facebook or my Instagram and look for a post from November 20th, there's a YouTube link, and you can check out that video where I can just sit and walk you through all of those items. I can also post the description in this video just so that you have it, because it's a good follow-up. But it's a really fun way for you to kind of see what's around and what's staying and what you might want to grab before it disappears. Okay, so today's card, this one definitely can be done with any sort of paper pack. And in fact, I'd encourage you to recreate it with a different paper pack, because it's such a simple idea of making a silhouette out of a shape and using your paper scraps to kind of fill in the blanks. So let me show you how to do it. All the measurements and materials will be put in the description after the video. I didn't have time to do the write-up before, but they'll be there if you want to come back later and do this project then. So to start with, we need a card base. So I'm going to use Pretty Peacock for my card base. I've cut my paper at 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm putting a score mark down the middle here at 5 1/2, so that my card folds up and down, just kind of nice and tall like a tree. Now on the inside of my cards, I always like to have something to write on, so I'm going to add a piece of basic white that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. Now we are going to need a piece of basic white for the front of the project, so you can at this time go ahead and cut 2 of those pieces, because it'll make your life a little easier later. So 2 pieces that are 4 by 5 1/4. And you're just using a flat adhesive, something like our double-sided tape, the seal, or even glue to put this in. Right. I definitely could come back later and add some detail to the inside of the card, but until I know who I'm sending the cards to, I don't necessarily like to stamp in all my insides, but I kind of did think that this little "We wish you a Merry Christmas" would be a nice addition in my bottom corner, or if nothing else, maybe a sentiment, pardon me, to kind of fill that space. So this is my Merriest Trees stamp set, and we're going to be using the dies from this set as well. So here's our tree base die. I'm using a little star, and I've got my largest tree out already because we are going to use that together. So the inside of your card is done at the moment, and we're going to just take this piece and kind of set it aside because we need to work on some of our other pieces first. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab that second piece of basic white, and then you're going to come in here with a bunch of strips of paper. So these strips of paper are from the Snowflake Magic specialty paper package. It looks like this. It's 12 by 12, and there's 2 sheets of each of the designs in a 12 by 12 size. So what I've done is I've cut these in about a ½ inch wide. You, of course, could make it wider or shorter depending on your preference, but I did ½ inch, and you want to give yourself enough space for your pieces to go across the page. So that gives me probably, I did these at 5 1/4. I probably could have even been a little bit more generous and done 5 1/2, and it would have made my life a little easier. But I did 5 1/4 just because that's the pieces I had on hand. Pardon me. Okay, so what you're going to do, and I've gone ahead and done this already, is put some double-sided tape or some seal on the back of your strips. And it does not matter at all where you start on your page, but you're going to start putting them in a diagonal sort of pattern, and kind of you can go in whatever order you want. If you had something that didn't include a white, you could potentially even leave like a little gap in between. But because I've got the white, I'm just going to butt my pieces up together because I really like that look. And you're just going to have fun doing all of these pieces in kind of a diagonal look. Yes. So I'm going to do a repeating pattern just because that's what I prefer on my project, but you can definitely do whatever you like. And if you only had one color to work with, just leave that little gap in between, and it'll look like you've got a pattern paper white, pattern paper white. So it will still look sharp and you don't have to stress. These kind of projects I love doing because I always end up with these tiny little strips, either ½ inch or even 3/4 of an inch left after I do a bunch of projects. So these little strip backgrounds are just easy for you to be able to fill in the blanks of your projects there. Okay. Now I have to go up, on down. Basically just sitting here putting pieces all over this piece of white background. So technically this could be any color. It doesn't have to be a white. I just chose white because you can have it show through really sharp for you. I might be able to cheat out of this. Look, I have such a long tail right here. I wonder if I sneak that piece out by cutting along the edge. Have enough to go top. Not quite. A little short, but that's okay. We tried. We didn't want to waste our paper. Always worth checking. Okay, so I'm not going to actually put papers right to these corners because here in my project, we're not going to be seeing the whole corners. If I line this up when my project is kind of ready to go and I find I am short, I can always come in here and add some designer paper, but there's no point wasting it right now. And I can probably just use one of my cutoff pieces to do that. So because we made this the exact same size as our next layer, what we're going to do now is take our trimmer and just kind of shave some of the edge off, make these sides all flat and even. Okay, so I'm going to grab my trimmer. think my other trimmer is downstairs, so I'm just going to use my guillotine right now. The first cut's always the trickiest because you don't have a nice even edge to line up to, but look, I have lots of pieces left. Save those because they could be used. And you're just going to kind of trim in a little bit. You don't need to worry about cutting some of that white off. And it's easier to cut on the white, then your blade doesn't get all gummy. So now that I've trimmed it, if we lined it up, look, I'm just a little shy of the 4 and a little shy of the 5 1/4, and that's perfect because my next layer is going to be using Lost Lagoon. And this piece you do want at 4 by 5 1/4. So if you were to see here, look, it's just hiding underneath. That's the intent because we're going to cut a Christmas tree out of this Lost Lagoon. So set this guy aside as well. Grab your cut and emboss machine, and we need that large tree die. That one right there. I'm gonna bring my machine up here, try and show you guys what I'm doing. Okay, so I have my platform. That is the large thick plate, number 1. No, it doesn't want to focus. I have it on the workspace. Number 2 is our little shim that you use whenever you've got your dies. And then we've got 2 of these clear cutting plates. So Stampin' Up! Sells these clear ones. This one's always on the bottom here. And then I just prefer to use, I got these pink, purple shiny ones years ago, and I keep a couple of them just for my top layer. I never cut on them. So it just reminds me that my ugly clear ones get all the cuts and the lines, and the purple one just goes on the top. So got my paper laid out, and we're going to want our tree nicely in the middle. Remember, don't put this wonky because you are seeing the silhouette. You want it nicely kind of laid with enough space that you've got room for a star on the top and your base on the bottom. And I do apologize, the camera is not autofocusing very nicely. Okay, get that lined up, and we're going to run it through the machine. So what you're left with is this punched out hole that's shaped like a tree and an extra tree that you can use for a project later. So put that aside. We're going to focus on this piece of paper that we've cut our tree out of. And I really like the look of embossing on this layer. So I'm going to grab my Snowflake Sky embossing folder. That one is a 3D folder, so it's very, very thick, which means we're going to need our specialty plate. If you bought the original one that Stampin' Up! Released, it'll be purplish blue like mine. If you bought the new one, it will be gray. They will both serve the same purpose, and you're going to put these together in lieu of those cutting plates and roll this through. The fun thing is the Snowflake Sky 3D embossing folder. It is going to carry on to the next catalog, which I'm very happy about. Okay. Now we've got our pretty embossed piece, and you have something that is focused again. Okay, so let's start assembling the card here. Okay, so we're going to do a quick check and make sure those parts that we ignored, if we put this underneath, yes, they are hidden. It doesn't matter that we didn't put anything there. So great, we're ready to go. We're going to turn this piece over, and we're going to put adhesive, flat adhesive, on the back for our white piece. And that's going to go on the card front as centered as possible. To be quite honest, this would almost be an adorable card front in and of itself if you decided to finish those two edges and maybe add a little decal. I actually think this would be a really cute card front. But we're going to hide part of that, and we're going to take our little tree silhouette and pop it up on dimensionals so that it kind of gives a little bit of depth perception, I guess, or tricks your eyes. And you pop it on there. Okay, so use quite a few dimensionals. We don't want any of these spots kind of drooping. You do want it nice and supported. So I start with my perimeter, and then I also can come in here, and if I see a large empty space, I might just add a dimensional there for this card. Other side. One on the top. Okay, taking off all of our backings. Okay, now this piece can be placed right over top of your beautiful stripes. Try and give it as close to an even border as you can. That pretty peacock poking through the back. There we go. So to decorate, if you'd like, the Merriest Trees Dies does have some really nice additions. So what I've done already is I cut out that little base for myself with some of our adhesive backed silver paper. This stuff is amazing. It basically has the adhesive already on it. Your package comes with one sheet of 12 by 12 silver and one sheet of 12 by 12 gold. And I love it. Look how pretty that is. Okay, it's like a sticker, and I didn't have to do anything. Then I cut out one of my stars. Same. To pop that up. Okay, now it might just be me, but I thought when I put this little thing on, it didn't really look good if I poked it upwards, because then it looks like it's in the middle of the tree. But do you see this little tiny part of the tree bottom? Kind of bugged me. So I'm going to take my scissors. You can just snip it out of there. Nobody's going to notice. Then your tree doesn't look weird. See? There we go. Okay, and then I decided I wanted to make it even fancier. So with that same adhesive back paper, I used one of my favorite dies in existence, this one here. This cuts out all the different chains of tinsels or lights or whatever you want to call them, all in one shot. So I just rolled it through, and I thought it looked really, really fun. But I'm not going to do that on my sample because I actually think this card here demonstrates more of the stripe technique, and that's where your focus is. And then this one, I don't know if it took away by adding the extra little embellishments. So I want to post like a little vote, I guess, on my Instagram and see what people prefer, whether they thought it looked great just with all the stripes and I shouldn't have added this, or vice versa. And then whatever you want, if you want to put a sentiment on, we do have some really cute little banner dies in our Stylish Shapes set. So you could use the banners to do one of these little sentiments or a large banner, pardon me, for that spirit of the season. But again, I also just liked the card as it was, so I wasn't quite sold on a sentiment. I kind of figured if I did do one, it would be this little to you and yours, and I might either pop it up in the top here or I'd tuck it down in the bottom. So you guys, again, can kind of take a vote and see whether you'd like it up near the top, probably like middle, or I kind of think it's just really subtle. It could go down in the bottom. But it's great either way. Whatever you want to do with it is fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to tune in next week because I will have another video for you, again with a Christmas card because it is the Christmas season. I hope you're enjoying your November, and I look forward to talking to you guys very, very soon. Bye.